Hey, the Dolphins have a huge game on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. In fact, the AFC East title will be decided in that game, and we're going to be live for it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. We'll be live on the air an hour before kickoff. And oh, yeah, it's Sunday Night Football because it's going to be a good one. Dolphins and Bills, join us for our live watch party and subscribe to Dolphins Today. All right. I think it's important to remember no matter what happens in this Week 18 matchup, the Dolphins are in the playoffs. And maybe if things don't go as planned, then you could say they're limping into the playoffs. Obviously 2-2 in their last 4 games after that really strong start. But I think all that would be nullified and go away with a convincing and telling victory over the Buffalo Bills. And with that said, it's important to look at how that can play into the overall AFC playoff picture. Now, the Ravens have clinched the number 1 seed at 13-3. They're resting all their starters against Pittsburgh. The Dolphins can secure that number 2 seed where they currently are with a win over the Bills. That being said, there's a whole number of possibilities of who they might play depending on whether they win or lose on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. But remember, they're in the playoffs no matter what, but the Dolphins have an AFC East title to claim, and they would with a win over the Bills as well as securing the number 2 seed. Now, the possible opponents for the Miami Dolphins are the Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. With a loss, Miami would fall all the way to the 6th seed, and they would for sure play Kansas City on the road at Arrowhead Stadium. So get your pen and paper out because you might need to write down all of these potential scenarios based on what happens in Week 18. Let's say the Dolphins win. They beat the Buffalo Bills. There's a chance, in fact, a very good chance, that they would play the Bills again in the first round of the playoffs. If the Dolphins win, Jacksonville beats Tennessee, and Baltimore beats Pittsburgh, that means the Dolphins are playing at home against Buffalo in the first round of the playoffs. So again, write that down because there's a lot of these. If the Dolphins win, Tennessee beats Jacksonville, Pittsburgh beats Baltimore. You guessed it, the Dolphins playing at home against the Bills. If the Dolphins win and the chance to play the Steelers, here's what has to happen. Jacksonville needs to beat Tennessee. Pittsburgh needs to beat Baltimore. Or if the Dolphins win, Tennessee beats Jacksonville and Baltimore beats Pittsburgh. Yes, the Dolphins would play the Steelers at home, who, as I said earlier in the week, I think the Dolphins match up really well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's nothing about that offense that scares me, so I wouldn't mind that scenario. But there are a couple other ones. There's a chance they could play Jacksonville at home if the Dolphins win. Tennessee beats Jacksonville, but Baltimore beats Pittsburgh. Yes, they would play the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as I mentioned, the only way the Dolphins would be on the road in the first round of the playoffs is if they lose on Sunday Night Football to the Bills. That means they would take the 6th seed and play against Kansas City in Arrowhead Stadium. So, with that, I want you to let me know who you want the Dolphins to play in the playoffs. I told you mine. I'd probably like the Steelers, but then again, the Dolphins go out and show that they can take care of business against the Bills, I wouldn't mind that as well. But let me know down in the comments who you think the Dolphins match up the best in that first round of the NFL playoffs. Coming up, we'll talk keys to victory in beating the Buffalo Bills in Week 18 and securing the division title for the first time since 2008. But first, I want to tell you about Game Time, helping make today's show possible as the proud presenting sponsor. And by now, you know that Game Time is the only ticketing app you need, and it is the best way to secure the lowest price possible on last-minute ticket deals. That's right. Even the day of the game, you got your friends, your buddies, your girls, whatever it is, and you say, I want to go see the Miami Dolphins in action. You can do it with the Game Time app. In fact, you should do it with the Game Time app because it takes all the stress out of buying tickets for live events. Another thing I like about the app is you get a nice high-resolution photo of exactly where the seat is. So there's no deception, and it also makes it super easy and convenient, just a few clicks. of the button on the phone, and next thing you know, you are ready to go. And because we love you and we care about you, we've got $20 off when you download the Game Time app and you use that code PHINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT. That will get you $20 off. And most importantly, it takes all the stress out of buying tickets, and it's the lowest price guaranteed, even on last-minute tickets. That's why you use the Game Time app. Also great for concerts. And we're into hoop season, hockey season, you name it. Game Time will get you to the live event you need to be at. That's why you download the Game Time app. Terms do apply, but make sure you download the Game Time app. Use that promo code PHINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT, for $20 off. And we've got the link right to that in the comments and description of today's video. Download the Game Time app. Use code PHINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT, for $20 off your first purchase. Now, you look at this matchup, NFL Week 18, the Dolphins scoring defense, after giving up 56 to the Ravens, fell all the way to 22nd in the NFL. Scoring offense, still the best in the league at 30 points per game. But on the flip side, this Buffalo Bills team in the top 10 in both scoring offense and scoring defense at 6th and 5th, respectively. A big reason why the the Bills have won 4 games in a row. They've been on a tear, and they're even favored at home against the Dolphins, with the Dolphins being at home. And despite all that, the over-under at 50. So depending on who you ask, yeah, maybe the Buffalo Bills are riding pretty high on that 4-game winning streak, whereas the Dolphins are 2-2 in their last 4. But hey, you throw the record books out when it's a divisional rival coming into Hard Rock Stadium for the final game of the regular season. And look at that middle note. Josh Allen, 9-2 in his career against the Dolphins. So I mentioned earlier, it's time to exercise those demons. What better time than in Week 18 against the NFL? And the first time these two teams met, yeah, that didn't go so well. The Bills won 48-20 over the Dolphins. It wasn't close, my friends. So if I haven't scared you enough, you got to let me know who you got. Type D for Dolphins or B for Bills. I better see a lot of D's in those chats. Now, coming up, let's talk about these keys to victory. First and foremost, Josh Allen is the heartbeat of the Buffalo Bills. And whether you love his style of play, if you're like Tony Romo and you just can't get enough Josh Allen, or you think, guy's a walking turnover, he turns the ball over all the time, make no mistake about it. He is going to make plays. He's going to be reckless. And you know what? That recklessness might lead to some turnovers. But this is kind of wild. He's been making all kinds of plays on the ground and doing the majority of the damage by getting into the end zone by way of running the ball. He needs just one touchdown to tie the Bills' single-season rushing touchdown record. The Dolphins have to figure out a way to contain this man, because when the play breaks down, Josh Allen is tucking the ball and he is running. He is big, he is strong, he is fast, and he has made defenses pay on the ground, especially in the last 4 games. And that makes the loss of Bradley Chubb that much more painful. I can't even say it out loud without getting upset. But Bradley Chubb tearing his ACL in Week 17 of the NFL season against the Ravens, especially in mop-up time. I mean, the Dolphins were down by 30-plus points. The game was out of reach. But like I said, it's time to turn the page. So no Bradley Chubb, no Jaelen Phillips, and that means Andrew Van Ginkel, Emmanuel Ogbah, Melvin Ingram, and the rest of the Dolphins defensive line will have to play lights out, disciplined football, and put their best foot forward if the Dolphins are going to have a chance to win this game. So the secondary is important. The linebackers are important. Of course, the defensive line are important. You add it all up, and you got to let me know what's your confidence level in the Dolphins defense. Scale it for me, 1 through 10. Let me know how you're feeling about this Dolphins defense. Next part of a victory for the Miami Dolphins and the pieces of the puzzle, establishing the run game, because much has been made of Tua Tagovailoa, right, wrong, or indifferent, and everything in between. Everybody's got an opinion on him. I get that. But let's not forget, for the majority of this season, the Dolphins possess the number 1 rushing offense in the league. They no longer do. But that being said, when they were having success, even as recent as a week ago against the Ravens, a lot of it was on the ground. And that was even in the absence of Raheem Mostert, who the Dolphins are optimistic they will have for Sunday's game against the Baltimore Ravens. Likely to be back, and what a boost that will be, because his numbers are off the chart, having arguably the most decorated career season of the Miami Dolphins and them as a franchise. Broke the franchise record with the 18 touchdowns there. Also has been a menace in the receiving game for the Dolphins. Raheem Mostert's value to this offense cannot be overstated. That production in 15 games played. And you look at this running back room as a whole, this is one of the huge strengths of the Dolphins. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane is a matchup nightmare, and oh yeah, the savvy veteran Jeff Wilson Jr. still has some gas in the tank, and Chris Brooks, activated off IR a few weeks ago, adds to that collection of weapons in the running back room. So that being said, the establishment of the running game will be crucial to the success in Sunday's game. Also crucial, protecting Tua Tagovailoa. And like I said, I've read all the comments. I understand people are fed up with Tua, and number one overall, they think he might have lost a step, doesn't have the arm strength. Save it for him, because when Tua has time to throw, and he's shown this, he can be as effective as any passer in the NFL. And we've got the numbers that back it up. I know they're just statistics, but that being said, when a guy is sacked 12 times in 4 games, they're not going to be successful, no matter how good of a quarterback they are. If you look at the stat there on the bottom, 12 sacks in the previous 8 games before 12 sacks in the last 4 games. So I know the offensive line has been depleted by injuries, but that being said, they got to find a way to protect Tua so that he can have a chance to be successful and make plays on the field. And if you look at the numbers versus Buffalo, they are not too kind. 1-5 career versus Buffalo, passer rating below 80, and before the game against the Baltimore Ravens, Tua was probably playing some of his best football, as he had gone 19 quarters without an interception before that game. But that said, the head-to-head, this is tough for Tua, and what a time it would be if he could start to, reverse the tide, if you will, as far as the success Josh Allen has had against the Dolphins versus what Tua's been able to do against the Buffalo Bills. So Josh Allen, 9-2, Tua 1-5 in his career against Buffalo. 31 touchdowns for Josh Allen in 11 games. That's insane, with just the 5 interceptions. To a 5-5 as far as touchdowns and interceptions go. So not pretty any way you slice it. But I told you we have the numbers to back it up that Tua's having a great year. And here they are. He leads the NFL in passing yards with 4,451. He's second in passing yards per attempt. So none of this dink and dunk garbage that sometimes people try to peg on Tua. That's not happening. Nearly a 70% completion percentage, which, you guessed it, is the best in the National Football League. 28 passing touchdowns, which is tied for the 4th most, and a passer rating over 100, which is the 3rd best in the NFL. So there's a lot of discussion around Tua Tagovailoa, and I know you've got an opinion on it, so let me know down in the comments. I'm asking you, do you believe in Tua Tagovailoa as a guy that can lead the Dolphins to an AFC East divisional title and into the playoffs as the number 2 seed? And is he the guy to lead this Dolphins team to where their goals have them in front of them? I say yes, I believe in Tua, but what do you say? Last but certainly not least, the Dolphins need to protect home field. They are unequivocally, no matter how you slice it, a much better team at home than on the road. So securing that number 2 seed, absolutely paramount to the success of the Dolphins. And in order to avoid the 2023 letdown being similar to what we experienced last year, where you have the hot start and then lose all those games down the stretch and then have to go on the road in the playoffs, Miami has a chance to play at home throughout the playoffs as the number 2 seed until they face the number 1 seed, again, Baltimore Ravens, which would mean going back to Baltimore. But you understand how critical it is for Miami to play at home when they're 19-3 in their last 22 games played at Hard Rock Stadium. So I said this at the beginning. I'll say it again. How else would you rather have it than it all coming down to this? One game, earn that number 2 seed, exercise those demons against the Buffalo Bills. I think Miami finds a way to win this one. My score prediction, 28-27. And that is why you subscribe, my friends, because we're going to have a live watch party for this one in Week 18 against the Buffalo Bills. You will not want to miss it. If you can't go to the game, the next best place to be is live with us on Dolphins Today, and it all happens 1 hour before kickoff. So subscribe to the channel and join us for our Week 18 watch party as the AFC East is up for grabs.